It's enough for me. 12 hours now I'm standing and I'm still going strong because this president is wrong. For almost 20 hours, we have laid out what they're trying to do. 20 hours. I want to stand more, and I will, but I'm begging people, don't let this be another normal day in America.
In the annals of time, riding social forces as they crest and crash onto the shores of history, some would-be heroes stumble but manage to recover their breath. Others are reduced to the flotsam and jetsam of nostalgia. These others are our subjects. They are the vanquished, 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 vanquished.
Welcome to The Vanquished. Anders J. Lee here with my co-host, Freddie G.
I am so happy to be here for our first 25-hour podcast episode.
That's right, and we are doing it with none other than our good pal and co-host of our monthly stand-up show, Sharif Hasan.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Great to be here.
And we're talking today about someone who is from Sharif's home state, New Jersey, a guy who is now in the news yet again for his exploits, Cory Booker. U.S. Senator who did a 25-hour speech. Some are calling it a filibuster. Some are saying it's technically something else. Why did he give this speech, Fred?
See, the thing with Cory Booker is he's not a very good politician, but he's a good stunt man. And when he has a chance to do a stunt, that's his best thing. And he was like, I got to do another stunt again. Maybe I can run in 28.
There was some kind of like nomination for like NATO ambassador or something like that the speech came after, but he was not holding up any like legislation, which would have been a good thing to do just a few weeks before. When,
it wasn't very disruptive.
No.
Right?
Yeah, it didn't. It was just a totally symbolic thing. It didn't prevent anything from passing or anyone from getting nominated. But just a few weeks, we had the budget, which was rammed through. Schumer capitulated and voted for cloture to let this budget pass, essentially. I don't know why he didn't do it then. Like, why wouldn't you stop Trump's budget from passing? Why would you choose this?
Schumer wouldn't let him do that. Yeah, Schumer was like, we got to pass the budget, but you can do your little stunt next week. Yeah, there was a TikTok I saw from Izzy Eternal. Cory Booker was a firefighter. Someone would be like, isn't it weird that firefighter is just riding a unicycle instead of putting out that fire? And then liberals would be like, at least he's doing something. Let's see you ride a unicycle.
Yeah, it's fun to watch it, but it's like having politicians show up at protests where it's kind of like, like, hey, we're here, but it's not,
Yeah.
why is he here?
And that's, this is kind of we're going to get into his history here, but this is a theme throughout Booker's career is he does stunts. He went on hunger strike when he was a council member in Newark to draw attention to drug dealing. It was like an open-air drug market. To be clear, I am not against political theater. It has a very important utility. We're seeing that with Zoran Mamdani, who's running for mayor here in New York City, and he went on a hunger strike, too, in 2020, I believe it was, for taxi medallion issue here in New York City. It's a terrible crisis, cab drivers, but that was connected to that. It was connected to a strike.
Yeah,
Cory Booker
it can accomplish something.
There is a connection between Booker and Zoran, and that, like, when Booker was Zoran's age, he had an upstart mayoral campaign. We're going to talk about that later.
I remember him on Oprah, him and Zuckerberg talking about how they would, how Zuckerberg was going to donate how much, whatever, to
$100 million.
Yeah, $100 million to Newark.
Yeah,
I was like, who's this guy? And he seemed cool, and then people liked him, and there was like, it's like he's appealing, but then it goes away, and you can kind of see through it, and you're like, I don't know, what is he trying to do?
Me, it was seeing the doc Street fight about his mayoral campaign, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's cool. He's the next Obama. And then I saw him in like 2013. I think he was like performing a gay marriage or something, but he was like hamming it up really bad. And I was like, oh, he's Rizless Obama. He's kind of like an AI slap version of Obama. I also think of him as like a sexless Bill Clinton.
So the marriage thing, too, he also assisted with a marriage proposal while he was senator, which was another sort of public, social media viral, how do we get attention type of thing. I'm pretty sure I saw him being interviewed by Tavis Smiley at some point in the mid-2000s. I didn't have cable as a kid, so I would watch that every night after like the late night comedy shows, which is the other real first like memory that stuck with me is seeing Cory Booker on Conan because Conan would do bits about Newark. He would do, Newark was a punchline in for late night talk shows, and he had some kind of joke about Newark. And Cory Booker took the opportunity to go on, I think it was Twitter as well as YouTube, and make a video as Mayor of Newark. This is 2009, saying Conan is banned from entering Newark.
We in New Jersey roll hard, we roll strong, and we roll together. And I'm now here to officially tell you that you have been banned from the entire state of New Jersey. Coco can't go.
Which was a great boon for Cory Booker because it led to him going on Conan and getting national attention, and also getting some money from Conan for the, I think it was the Newark schools or some foundation. The most hilarious part of it, though, is the ACLU thought he was serious. And they were like, you cannot ban somebody from a city as the mayor. You can't ban somebody from the airport, which he also wanted to do.
You should be able to, though. I think that should come with being the mayor.
I mean, Zoran has said he would arrest Netanyahu if he comes.
Personally, he would arrest him. Yeah. I'd love to see that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
But a little bit of background on Mr. Booker. His parents grew up in the Jim Crow South, and they worked at IBM. They were executives, but he was born in D.C., and it kind of seems like he's a creature of D.C. in multiple ways. And having lived there, there's a lot of people like Cory Booker. He went to Stanford, played football. He was a tight end. I didn't have a chance, but I'm going to look up his highlights. I saw at least one. In Street Fight, there's at least one play where he bowls somebody over, catches the ball.
Oh, yeah, we're going to break down the tape in the Patreon episode.
Yeah.
Cory Booker highlight reel.
Yeah.
I bet he dropped a lot of passes.
Yeah?
He drops the ball a lot. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe we would all be better off if he had pursued that and gone pro instead of becoming a Rhodes Scholar, going to Yale, and then he moves to Newark. He is from a wealthy suburb of Newark, where we should mention his parents were, there was a white community. They didn't want black people owning a house, and so they had to, there's a real battle to just own a home here, and that was kind of a formative thing, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think we'll talk about on the page, but yeah, it's like a sting. They integrate the neighborhood. Yeah, and it's not easy.
Yes. But he also is notable for, he made up a fake guy, a friend named T-Bone.
This is so Trumpian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says in 2000, after he's moved to Newark, he's like, I still remember my first month on the street. He's talking about 1995. He moves to the dangerous neighborhood, Newark. I walked up to this charismatic black guy my age called T-Bone, who was one of the drug lords. I said, yo, man, what's up? And he leaped out in front of me, looked right me in the eye, and said, who the blank do you think you are? If you ever look at me again, I'm going to put a cap in your ass. And then later he says, I got to this guy named T-Bone. I'm a vegetarian, so that was a particularly vicious threat.
This is in 2020?
Well, it came out in 2020 because he was running for president, and it became like a news story.
Wow.
He admitted, though, T-Bone, he wasn't a real guy, but he was based on a lot of real people.
Yeah.
That he knew around Newark, and he just kind of made them a composite named T-Bone, which is kind of it's not are there a lot of people named T-Bone in New Jersey?
I personally have never met anyone.
Okay.
named T-Bone.
Wait, this is a Seinfeld episode. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, George wants to be called T-Bone.
That's probably where he got the
He's
idea.
probably talking about George Costanza.
Yeah, George Costanza. Yeah.
He's talking about George Costanza did this to him.
Yeah, because this is in the 90s that he's coming up with this idea.
Oh,
Checks out.
Yeah. He does seem like he'd be bullied by George Costanza.
Yeah, but yeah, T-Bone's Southern name. That's like a nickname you get in the South. And there's an associate of Cory Booker's who's like, dude, you gotta stop talking about T-Bone because it's like reinforcing stereotypes. It's just not a good look for anybody.
Biden did that a lot too, where he would be like,
Oh, he would lie about all
you
sorts
know?
of things.
So
yeah.
it's he thought that would work out.
Yeah.
You see, Biden eats meat, so his guy was corn
Yeah.
pop, but
Corn pop,
vegetarian,
exactly.
you
Corn
T-bone.
pop is real though. I
Corn
will
pop is
say,
real?
They dug him up.
They found him.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he passed away a while ago, but he's a real guy. And then another notable thing about Cory Booker, became a vegan in 2014.
Which also seems performative.
Yeah, I mean, hey, no shade against vegans. I like to steal vegan valor because I'm lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
he doesn't really push it on people. And I think that's like a political thing because he doesn't want to get in trouble by being an annoying vegan. But vegans, sometimes I think maybe they should be more aggressive if they actually believe in veganism. I don't, but that's for another episode.
Yeah, I'm pro-vegan because I had a friend who was vegan, and I didn't find out until 6 years into the friendship. So that shows that that's just proved every vegan stereotype.
Yeah, sometimes you offer them something, and they're like, I've been vegan this whole time.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God.
Like 99% of vegans are totally chill about it, but then you get the 1% who gives them the bad rap.
Yeah, I just never offered to share my meat, so I never found out if anyone is vegan.
But Cory Booker comes of age politically at a very particular time and is part of a subset of politicians. It's a very particular coterie of black, Gen X, some young boomer politicians who are neoliberal reformers and really de-emphasize race. Adrian Fenty in Washington, D.C., who's the mayor, also a charter school guy. Deval Patrick comes, governor of Massachusetts, and Barack Obama fits this mold very well. Kamala Harris, sort of, in California. But the through line here is that they're kind of going, they're black politicians who, with the exception of Adrian Fenty, are trying to win a white population over when at a time when a lot of black politics was sort of cloistered into black neighborhoods, and they have machines which Cory Booker takes on as a way to have it be a stepping stone to something bigger and national. But there is a documentary, as Fred mentioned, Street Fight, about Booker's 2002 mayoral campaign. He had been elected to the city council in Newark. He wasn't able to really accomplish very much because they could smell that his ambition. So for everyone on the city council and city government really resented him because this guy really wants to be mayor. So he was not able to get a lot of stuff passed. And then he just decides to take on Sharp James, who's a machine politician from Newark, runs his city, at least the way it's presented in Street Fight, pretty autocratic guy. Like as far as dealing with opposition, like he does not mess around. Sends goons to push out Cory Booker's camera people, and and comes down hard on like local businesses for supporting Cory Booker. He'll like just a blatantly like paranoid and autocratic sort of way, in a way that is not strategic. It seems like this would do more harm than good, but he really hates Cory Booker. And there's one of the early scenes, there's a building super who's telling Cory he has to leave and can't canvass in this building. Cory says, okay, call the police, which is a good tip actually to canvassers out there watching. You are allowed to canvass in buildings. That's especially in New York. It's gone before the New York State Supreme Court 2 separate times. The Supreme Court has said, yes, you're allowed to knock on doors and give people political literature. It is not solicitation. You're not selling anything. So that I do respect him for that. That was kind of badass.
The Sharp James guy, like he's like an 1800s politician. Like he's so corrupt. He's running things like the mafia, like old school Tammany Hall. He's a state senator and mayor because he wants 2 paychecks. Like it is there are no rules. And then Cory, the problem with Cory is like he's rich. He's from out of town. He seems like he's just trying to get the white liberal establishment to have power over Newark and do a bunch of technocratic crap. And people can kind of sense it, even though he is black and he is living in the projects and he's trying to be a Newark guy. But people can sense the outsider thing on him.
Yeah, and as we said, like the James campaign, very vindictive. The way it runs the administration. There's a cop who he is supporting Booker who gets like reassigned to like kind of grunt work for supporting him. And yeah, the real deal was Sharp James's slogan, which you could probably tell what that means. There's a moment that's captured where Sharp sort of suggests that Cory Booker might be Jewish, and some of his supporters are, making some conspiracy theories out of it, and he's called the F slur for being gay, potentially, which is a rumor that has dogged Cory Booker for a long time.
Yeah, when you see the doc, it's insane, and they're like, oh, Cory's the white candidate, and like, why are you calling him Jewish? And then we dug up some stuff we'll talk about later. Yeah, there is some background with him in the Jewish community.
That's true, yeah. There's a fight at one of the debates, which is pretty rowdy and fun, and you have cameos from some New Jersey emissaries, Jim McGreevey endorses Sharp James. You remember Jim McGreevey?
I think so, yeah.
Came out as gay as governor, which I didn't learn until recently that it was kind of a convenient coming out party because he also had some like corruption case hanging over his head. So it was like, I'm gay. He said, I'm a gay American, which is I always thought was such a funny phrase and hasn't caught on for whatever reason among.
It's like the Hulk Hogan slogan, I'm a real American. Yeah. Yeah, the thing with it was that he had like a boy toy that he was doing corrupt stuff with. But like he randomly as a press conference, he's like, I'm a gay American. It was like 2004. And I was watching it at like my buddy's house in like Florida with his dad. And his dad was like, oh my God, what's happening? Is this real? Like it was an insane moment back then because we were less than 10 years from the Ellen Yep, I'm Gay time cover. So being gay was still a little bit of news back that far back.
Also cameo from a member of the Vanquished, Chris Christie, who is a U.S. attorney at the time and sends election monitors to Newark like it's a third world country that the UN is trying to monitor. And there's also cameos from Spike Lee and Cornel West, who support Cory Booker, which is kind of odd in retrospect because maybe not Spike Lee, but Cornel West turns out to be like a and even at this time is on the left, but someone like Cory, like things are a little foggier ideologically. So just being young and going up against the establishment and the machine gets you the support of someone like Cornel West, who today I do not think would be a big fan of Cory Booker.
Oh yeah, not at all. Yeah, and Jesse Jackson is on the Sharp James side.
Right. And also Bill Clinton kind of is supposed to speak and then doesn't give the speech.
Yeah, Sharp uses like an old photo of him and Bill Clinton. Yeah. Now, where in the Jersey you're from? Are you from near Newark?
I'm like 20 minutes from Newark.
Nice. Yeah, any experience on the streets of Newark with guys like T-Bone?
Definitely, I know T-Bone. We go way back whenever I go to Newark Airport.
I have been to the airport, yeah.
It is, it's a good alternative.
But my father used to work in Newark. So,
okay.
So maybe I can ask him about T-Bone.
Yeah.
He probably knows him.
Or Cory Booker. Do you remember?
Cory Booker,
Do you remember Newark being like the punchline in the national?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember, this is just a few years ago, I saw Spider-Man in the movie theater in New Jersey with my friends, and he lands in Newark Airport. And everybody cheered, but in like a joking way.
Yeah.
Not like a supporting way. It was kind of like, hey, that's Newark.
Oh, yeah.
Surprised they didn't boo it, but I'm glad they didn't boo it.
Yeah, Newark mentioned. He's from Queens, Spider-Man, and it's such a long trip to Queens from Newark Airport. We got a couple airports in Queens, so insanely dumb of Spider-Man
I don't
to land
know
in Newark Airport. You're going to spend way more on
did.
the Uber after that.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Yeah, do not land in Newark Airport if you live in Queens.
I don't know why he didn't land in LaGuardia.
Yeah.
Thank you, yeah. And Newark is a nicer airport than LaGuardia, because LaGuardia is a terrible airport, but...
Yeah, back to the election. The 2002 election day, cops and firefighters take down Cory Booker's signs, which is going against Chris Christie's federal order. They send noise trucks to Cory Booker's events. But there's another really funny moment where there's a little girl who touches Cory, and then he says her hand smells like the future.
Yeah, she says that. Yeah, she might have had that written for her, but it's like the most corny Cory Booker moment.
He says it?
No, a girl had touched him. She probably has a crush on him. He's a tall, attractive guy. I mean, she like has an innocent schoolgirl crush on him.
Yeah.
And they're like, "What does your hand smell like?" She's like, "It smells like the future."
Wow.
Yeah, and that's Cory Booker. Yeah. The corniness rubbed off on her.
That's a good line. That would win you an election today. You become president.
Yeah. But he does not win in 2002. Sharp James overcomes this upstart and wins fairly handily, like 6 points. So it wouldn't put it past the machine to rig an election, but seems like pretty clearly like a carpetbagger, like a guy who's not from here coming in trying to change things. People don't know him, so he does lose that. And then the street fight is nominated for an Oscar, and he gets a lot of attention and is doing the media rounds. He's out of office, and then he runs again in 2006. Sharp James thinks about running, does not. His vice mayor runs, and Cory's able to beat him, having established himself in the city and nationally. And then, as mayor, very good at spinning things as like, this is what I got done. I'm so effective. We changed the tone and did all these inspiring things. He brings on a Giuliani guy from Giuliani's NYPD to be the commissioner, and there is a slight drop in homicide, but there's also stop and frisk, which is implemented. And then, Sharif mentioned there's the famous 2010 check that Zuckerberg cuts to make Newark the charter school capital of the nation because, it's not to go to public schools. It's to set up a new type of template for what they want to do to the rest of the country, which is charterize everything. And this is an argument Cory Booker will make where he's complaining about purists on the left, people criticizing him for charter school policy. Well, if I have to choose between these kids not getting taught and like doing something that's maybe not ideological perfect, I'm gonna choose the kids. I'm gonna put them first, which is a totally false choice because you have $100 million. Why can't that go to the public schools that are already there? And this is a constant throughout his ideology. It's just there is something fundamentally wrong with normal public schools, and he needs to charterize them. By the way, I am a product of a charter school, so if anybody's watching and is anti-charter school, if you're like a union organizer, just use me as an example. Like, this is the thing you should be warning parents about. This will happen. Your son will be hosting a podcast.
Yeah, and I think the issue with the charter schools, it's only for a subset of the students, and even like they want to have good numbers, they might kick low-performing students out of them. I've tutored at a couple of them, and they would always be like, "Oh, yeah, we have money." And then I would realize like they were wasting their money.
Yeah.
Like they would pay me to like tutor kids in math, and then they wouldn't tell the kids to come, and they were paying my agency like a lot of money. Like there's just they're understanding that they have money and that they're not necessarily that responsible over it. I also saw like they have like a lot of paternalistic slogans. Like one of them had a slogan, Pride. I think it's called Success Academy. It's called Professionalism, Respect, Integrity, Diligence, and Excellence, which is kind of sending. Also, Pride is LGBTQ pride. Don't steal pride. Yeah. No stolen pride. Or like Harlem Children's Zone has like, we're changing intergenerational poverty. But like not doing it by redistributing wealth, doing it by putting some kids in a good school to create maybe a new elite, but not, it all again feels very paternalistic and condescending.
Yeah, and the money that they shell out gets spent on consultants who work for $1,000 a day in some cases, and the reforms haven't actually helped Newark public schools. There's the criteria they point to is test scores. That's the goal for the charter movement. Is you got to increase test scores, which is not really something that should matter as much as it does to them. But even by that metric, it has not worked. But as mayor, does a lot of other stunts, as we were mentioning. He does, I'll call this, I said this is a stunt. I don't think it was pre-planned necessarily, but there's a burning building that he runs into and saves a woman.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
As mayor, this is really cool. Yeah, I'm not a guy who says that he set the fire so he could do this. Just joking. We're joking. But yeah, he saved someone out of a burning building.
Then he also was on food stamps for a while, living on SNAP, and then is he's a councilman, and I think he moves by the time he's mayor, but he's living in like the projects in Newark, which is, got to give him some credit for that, but it does really remind me of the mayor of Chicago in the 70s lived in Cabrini Green for like a week and had her security detail there.
Yeah.
And it was just very transparently like a gimmick. In 2012, he's still mayor and makes headlines for criticizing Obama, who he's a surrogate for, ally of Obama, obviously. And he does not like the Obama campaign's attack on Mitt Romney for working at Bain Capital, which has just destroyed so many people's lives with cuts and financialization and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's private equity, and they make money by buying companies and then oftentimes like selling them for parts and costing people jobs.
Yeah.
And Cory Booker's like, that's my base. Yeah, rich guys.
Yeah, and he says, we shouldn't indict private equity, and he even calls it, this is nauseating. He says it's nauseating because Bain Capital, they grow businesses. They create businesses. Shouldn't we want that?
It was like in 2011.
This is
This is a 2012 campaign.
2012 campaign, yeah.
Also, I think we had Ed Germanin on talking about this. This wasn't a very effective campaign by Obama and a very effective tech, and people did not like Bain. So Cory is not at all right about this criticism. He just loves rich guys.
And he does raise a lot of money from capital, from that type of firm like Bain Capital. And so that's when he's kind of becoming part of the national stage.
And yeah, they make him walk back the comments. He makes like a YouTube video where like it's like a hostage video. He has to like say it's like wrong what he said, but then later he deletes it. So like he's
Oh, wow.
he believes he
still
he
stands
toes the
on it.
line. Yeah. He's like, this could not last on my YouTube.
And he gives in 2012 gives a speech to the convention. He even says not left or right, but forward. Not about partisanship. It's about pragmatism and more centrist Obama, even because that campaign was very populist. 2008, very populist vibes, despite what he did in office. And 2013, he is thinking of running for Senate, and then there's a guy dies, so there's a special election. He's already a national figure, so he's kind of a shoo-in. Special election is elected, but before that, right before he is elected in the special election senator, his dad is on his last days, and so he has to spend time with his father. This causes him to miss a very important event.
The opening of the first Whole Foods in Newark. Newark is going to finally have made it as a city because they've got a Whole Foods. This is the culmination of everything Cory Booker's worked towards, gentrifying a black city by having a Whole Foods in it.
Yeah, that's what makes a city a city.
Yeah.
You need a Whole Foods.
Starbucks and Whole Foods, when those come in, things are changing.
So he missed that. He missed the opening.
Yeah, he didn't
he's
get
so
the-
mad. Even though he's not even mayor anymore. You're like,
Yeah.
So in his speech recently, it's noted for being 25 hours long, covers a lot of stuff, but you can't cover everything even in 25 hours. Even when there's like a genocide happening, I guess that wasn't important enough to put in the speech at all. 25 hours does not mention Gaza, and there's a very good reason for that, which is his long-standing ties to the state of Israel.
He says, he's definitely a big speaker at AIPAC. He says, Israel's not political to me. I was a supporter of Israel well before I was in the United States Senate. If I forget and then he's quoting, I think it's like some kind of prayer or something. If I forget thee, O Israel, may I cut off my right hand, which, oh my God. And you're thinking like, okay, he just takes money from them. He only cares because he takes money. And he has taken a lot of money. He's taken AIPAC tracker as of last month said, March 2025 said 871,000 he's taken from Israel, and he has supported stuff like BDS legislation and stuff like that. But actually, his ties to Israel go back farther. He's been involved with like the Chabad, ultra-Orthodox, and Zionist movement since the 90s. Actually, since he went to Oxford, when he became friends with one Rabbi Shmuley, and there's a Washington Post article on that.
Shout out to Rabbi Shmuley if you're watching this. I know he's a longtime listener.
Anytime he's mentioned, he'll probably watch.
Yeah.
I mean, their bromance is...
It goes back a long way.
Like the 90s. It's really strange. They meet in 1992. Cory Booker's gotten stood up for a date, and I think he wanted to bring her to the L'Chaim Society.
Yeah, this is a little shady to me. It's like this Jewish girl wants to go with Cory Booker. He's not Jewish. And she's like, come to the L'Chaim Society, which is like obviously a very Jewish place, for Purim. And then she doesn't show up, and he ends up hanging out with Rabbi Shmuley's wife and Rabbi Shmuley. Like maybe they were trying to recruit Cory into this world, but it works real well.
The table, it's packed with friends and students, and Booker sits down next to Shmuley, and they immediately fall into deep conversation. And then a few hours later, they're dancing on tables. They come the next day, they come back, they talk more, and they spend the next 2 years hanging out basically every single day and studying.
Cory Booker is also the kind of guy, like, he doesn't drink. Like, he's just a guy who will,
really?
like, go to a Jewish event. He's never been to one, and he'll start dancing on tables. He's just very enthusiastic. At least he's known not to drink. I don't know what went down in Oxford in 1982. But, yeah, like, he probably wasn't drunk. He just loves, like, doing stunts.
And he is not Jewish, obviously. He's a Christian, practicing Christian, goes to church, but he loves learning about Judaism. And that's what he later says his presidential campaign is all about, is finding common humanity. They meet Barbra Streisand. They start writing a book together. They go for long walks on the beach. He carries Shmuley on his shoulders at one point.
I think they're trying to get Streisand to make this a movie, and, like, I still want this movie to get made, the Cory Booker and Rabbi Shmuley story. Like, make it a comedy, though.
Yeah.
There is a point where Cory Booker would walk around in a yarmulke, and Rabbi Shmuley would wear a Malcolm X hat, and they would, like, hang out together. And that is crazy. Yeah,
I like how that's the equivalent.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah.
He's like, what do you wear? Malcolm X hat.
But then eventually they have a falling out.
So they're friends from like the mid 90s to the mid 2000s. Everything's great. There's even a picture of them like on a few years ago with their arms around each other in Rabbi Shmuley's house in New Jersey. But then the thing with Cory is he wants to be president. He wants to be the next Obama. Obama did the Iran deal. Cory has to support the Iran deal. And then obviously to be president running against Trump, you got to be anti-Trump. But you know who loves Trump? Conservative Zionist Jews love Trump. He's the most pro-Israel president ever. And they're going to split on those two issues.
Yes. Trump is, in 2017, of course, there's huge scandal over Charlottesville where he says there's good people on both sides. But Shmuley defends Trump and says, people are talking about all these neo-Nazis that came to Charlottesville, but far less has been mentioned of how the president has made up for it in spades. Just means support for Israel.
The move in the embassy thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did your Sharif's Palestinian? How did your family feel when the embassy was moved to Jerusalem?
It was like shocking, and like we knew, obviously, whoever's president, and you're not surprised by what they're gonna do in support of Israel. But that was like a very like, whoa, you went all out. Like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I think American presidents had been promising to do it since I think Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
So for about like 20
But
years.
it was like it was never done.
Oh,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, I'm gonna do it.
Also, like Israel wasn't usually be like, well, if Israel concedes this, we'll do that, which
Yeah.
would still be wrong. But he did not make Israel concede anything. He just got some money from Sheldon Adelson, who was still alive back then, and did it. Another thing is, so these are the Chabads, the Lubavitch. They have a Messiah named Menachem Mendel. He died in the 90s, but he's a guy with a red beard. And I did one of their comedy shows once, and the rabbi and my beard was a little too long, and they kept saying that I looked like their Messiah. It was kind of funny. It did make me want to cut my hair a little bit.
You must have crushed then.
Yeah, they had. I was like, yeah, you're going to hell if you don't laugh.
Even if just no matter what, you got to laugh.
So his gravesite, I guess, is a place you pray. And after Cory Booker's dad dies, they pray at the gravesite of the Messiah, Rabbi Schneerson. But then Cory's okay doing that. But then Shmuley puts it out like in a press release or something, like lets people know about it. And Cory doesn't like that. That's another reason why the friendship breaks.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But it doesn't stop Cory Booker from supporting Israel. I do remember during the 2020 campaign, 2019, there's a poster about no walls, not between Mexico and the U.S., also not between Israel and the Palestinian territories.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of walls in there.
He's holding
Yeah.
it, and then he claims like, "Oh, I didn't know what that was. I just thought I couldn't read."
Yeah, he's like, wait, hold on, let me go through.
Yeah, and even if you look at his face in that photo, it's clearly like, "What am I doing?" Because people were signing on to stuff as candidates in 2019 that they clearly did not actually believe in. And Cory Booker's a prime example, but he's backed by all kinds of just evil people and entities. The Tisch family, who controls the Lowe's Corporation, they have a PAC that's donated to him. And there's Seth Klarman, who's straight up right wing, founded the Israel Times. And then people who are not Jewish as well. Ravenel B. Curry III and his son Ravenel B. Curry IV have given Cory's PAC $100,000, and they're into asset wealth management, American Enterprise Institution, and the Curry IV's brother is the guy who made Street Fight. So it all comes together. This guy is just enmeshed in finance.
So during that long filibuster at hour 19, I think one of the Jewish senators gives him a hostage pin. He puts it on, and then he says, "I'm grateful that he was part of the founders of the Black Jewish Caucus. There's a Juneteenth Seder coming up." He mentions that. And he mentioned some hostages, and he says he's grateful for all the work they've done against anti-Semitism, which they mean is anti-Zionism. That's not great. But then he says what we've done for the Abraham Accords, which is Trump's accords, kind of having Israel make deals with all the Arab countries, isolating the Palestinians. And many would say those were even the motivation for like the October 7th attack. So It is weird that Cory is like so pro those things.
Yeah.
And they definitely weren't a Democratic policy, though I think Biden did continue them during his administration.
That is like a weird gesture to do, especially like we said, for 25 hours, you're not going to mention Gaza at all. And what's weird about that is like now that Trump's in office, of course, like a lot of Democrats are able to like finally speak out and be like, oh yeah, what's going on in Gaza is terrible. There's not supposed to be resorts there. So it's, it's not like it doesn't seem as taboo as it was when Biden was in office. Even if he spoke out about Gaza, it wouldn't be kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like a thing that you could fit in within 25 hours to be like,
yeah.
oh, and
At least the protesters.
yeah, you know, be like,
getting-
hey, there shouldn't be resorts in Gaza.
Yeah.
You know, but then, or mention these students being deported, Mahmoud Khalil. You know, he didn't mention that at all. But he it's weird to be like, I have this ribbon and I strictly support one side. It's
Yeah.
very bizarre. That's why what he did seems very performative, which we know it is. It's very like, I'm going to stand here and talk for 25 hours, but I'm not going to talk about things that are important. But a lot of people are going to clap.
Yeah, and he's working closely with Schumer, but Schumer congratulates him at the end.
Yeah.
And Schumer and him, I think, are both true believers on Israel. People on Twitter make a lot of fun of John Fetterman for being way too into Israel, but Cory goes back further and even seems more into Israel than Fetterman.
Also, Fetterman does not get paid. I know not to go on Fetterman. He doesn't get paid a lot by AIPAC. Did you see his number? It's really low.
It's it.
He's just doing it for fun.
He's getting paid minimum wage per hour to show for AIPAC.
They gave him more hoodies and shorts, and he's like, I'll do it. Whatever you guys need.
Yeah, I mean, the Gaza plan that Trump released, he couldn't even say anything about that.
Yeah.
It's like Democrats are saying this is crazy, even people who are Zionists. But his centrism, because Booker is very center-right across the board. His branding is progressive. He invokes the civil rights movement a lot. But if you look at his background, he was endorsed by Jack Kemp in 2002, who maybe we'll do an episode on at some point, who's Bill's quarterback, became a Republican congressman and a huge proponent of supply side economics. And he's singing the praises of this young guy who even says that Cory understands that private enterprise is not the enemy of the urban poor. Should be news to anyone who got evicted after their place got seized by a bank. And yeah, that informs his economic ideas. He's a third way kind of guy, even more so than Obama, because Obama was kind of above it all, right? He wasn't like an ideologue in the same way that someone like Clinton was. But Cory Booker, very, very focused on privatizing public education. That's been the big theme throughout his career, and takes just tons of money from the securities investment industry, has taken money from big pharma, which I don't think it's a coincidence, in 2017 voted against an amendment that would basically create a deficit neutral fund to lower prescription drug costs. Cory Booker voted against that and is obviously very tied to Zuckerberg, who gave him the money. And yeah, on the charter schools, he has praised Betsy DeVos, her Alliance for School Choice, which is a pro-charter organization. And then she becomes Secretary of Education, and all of a sudden he's like, never mind. Tries to dismiss that stuff, and is put in these awkward situations when he's running for president and is saying, I support the LA teachers strike, and then going to a charter school rally in New Orleans and giving a speech. So he's, and it just, again, did not work. He put in a superintendent who was very top-down, and Booker was adamant that we have to close schools. It's not enough to just create charters. We have to shut down public schools where kids are going and are underfunded. And he just wants a clean slate.
That's why he loves Israel. Israel's great at closing schools.
Yeah. But despite all that, he did have a dalliance with progressive queen, 2016 Bernie supporter, and an incredible actress. Was in the movie Kids. I don't know why that's the first one that comes to my head.
That's interesting.
She's in a lot of other movies. Rosario Dawson.
Yeah. She was with Eric Andre.
Yeah.
Before.
Yes.
So I would say a downgrade.
Eric Andre would win some delegates in the primary.
100%. He would be president if you go Eric Adams, cross that Eric Andre, it's right there.
I guarantee you, if he had run in 2020, he would have done better than Cory Booker. Definitely would have polled higher than him.
Yeah, that's why we're talking so much about his life, because his campaign just never did well, so we don't have that much to say about it.
Yeah. Well, see, he was rumored to be gay, as we mentioned earlier, because he was a bachelor for such a long time, didn't date anybody, and he wouldn't answer the question, am I gay, am I not gay? This is the first public relationship he had is dating Rosario Dawson. And he said to E! online. Initially, he was very nervous about getting her phone number. He said, I think I said something stupid like, how would I get in touch with you? And she said something like, oh, you want my phone number? And my insides were like, hell yeah. But they end up breaking up. And this is, again, after she has been to the left of him on a lot of issues. Eric Andre, also to the left of Cory Booker. He canvassed for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, she should go back to. She is with him when he's running, so it's like if he could have gotten his campaign together, she could have been his first lady. President with movie star first lady has never happened.
I do think his story with Rabbi Shmuley was cuter, in my opinion. I like that story a little better.
It feels like a more organic romance.
Well, how did they break up?
It's not clear exactly why they called it quits. I have a theory. I mean, they broke up in 2022. I kind of think he is asexual.
I was going to say that. Yeah, he has he just doesn't seem that interested in having relationships.
Yeah.
He has no sauce, too. He's sauceless.
Yeah, I mean,
You know
he's
what I mean?
very... See, and this is what he was saying.
That's what's missing. That's why
he really has a weird kind of charisma. He's definitely not like dull, but it's not Riz. It's corniness.
Yeah, it's like robotic too.
Yeah.
Like he's been programmed to speak for 25 hours. Right. You know?
Yeah. He probably just like has an AI chip in his brain that
it's
did
like
it all for
talk
him.
for 24 hours, you got it.
I was going to say I think an asexual president would be good, but I think the president I would most guess who was asexual is Richard Nixon, and he was really bad, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah. You have to love. Not to say asexual people can't love. Please don't get mad at us. I love asexual people. I was one for many years.
I didn't know that.
But he and Rosario Dawson, there's rumors that he was gay. I think she was his beard, but for being ace. But he does run in 2020. She sticks with him for that. And he's saying, on this charisma point, when he's running, he's like, well, you need black and brown people to come out if the Democrats want to win at the national level. And I can do that kind of the same way Obama did. But I kind of think you only have Obama once.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You only have the first black president once. And if you're just doing TEMU Obama, you're not going to get that same kind of excitement.
And you keep playing that like, I'm the second best thing.
Yeah.
Are you going to take it? Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And like, that's why his campaigns haven't been successful.
Another reason maybe is his logo for 2020, which was
Ooh, what's this?
absolutely hideous. They couldn't. It looks like Coney.
I was going to say that
2012.
Coney 20. That's immediately what I think.
And he has
Cory 20.
Coney 2012 vibes for sure.
It's really close. Yeah, it's one of the worst ones we've done. It's like so many colors that don't belong.
Look at that. And I like how it's like red and blue and white.
And then just black,
And then black.
which doesn't fit in.
We gotta,
I think they did that because like, oh, he's black, so we should have black in the logo. But like,
they're like, what are we gonna do? White again? Because then it's gonna be just a very white campaign. They can't do that.
yeah.
This
But
is
make a fully black logo.
Cory 2020.
If you're gonna do black, lean into black.
Also not Booker.
No Booker in there. Yeah, Cory, which is not the type of first. It's too common of a first name to
it's
be
like,
like.
if I saw that, I wouldn't know who they were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the red and the blue is like gives like very bipartisanship vibes, and the white and the black is like bipartisan also between yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he uses the word love more than any other candidate, and I think people want a little bit more than that. Like, what are you going to do?
Love doesn't win elections.
His
Sorry,
theme is like
Cory.
Hate wins.
Hate
You
wins
should've run on
elections,
hate.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
His theme is like, please love me, won't somebody love me?
But I think that goes back to like his filibuster, and he wasn't fighting any, and how so many people were like, how come these Democrats aren't doing anything? And he's like, you know what? I will do something. And then he's
Talk for 25
I'll
hours.
talk for 20. And then we're like, and people were like really impressed by that. Like it got like the most likes on TikTok or something. Something like people really loved.
You could do 25-hour TikTok videos.
I think it was like a live, or there was something about. I think he was live on TikTok. I said this before, how it's kind of like somebody running a marathon for the first time.
Yeah.
And like it's impressive, but they're just constantly going to bring it up now and be like, hey, remember that time I ran a marathon? Wasn't that awesome? Like remember I did the marathon?
Yeah, it's
and
just like, come
and
on.
of course people are going to be like, yeah, that was a really cool thing that you did, but or what else?
What have you done for me?
Yeah, and then immediately after you're going to vote for a bill that's going to give money to Israel?
Yeah.
Like, it's just very nothing.
Yeah, I mean, it's good Strom Thurmond doesn't have the record, but like back then you actually had to do a talking filibuster, and they got rid of that. So you can filibuster without talking.
Yeah, you could just say, I'm filibustering,
Yeah.
and then just go around the street and have a cup of coffee. The slogan for the Cory Booker campaign: platitudes. He's big on platitudes. This is just a This is almost a satire of a political slogan. Together, America, we will rise. There's a comma after together, a comma after America, and then we will rise. What does that mean? I don't like together, America, we will rise.
And
Okay.
this is obviously this is after Trump's first term,
yeah,
right? Okay.
or during it.
Yeah, his campaign is in 2019. It's a 2020 campaign, but he does not make it to 2020.
Together. I mean, do you know Biden's slogan?
Restore the soul of America.
That was it, really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
His backup one was No Malarkey, which was kind of fun. He went on like a No Malarkey
No
tour.
Malarkey.
Yeah.
yeah.
Biden.
Which whatever soul he wanted to restore, he definitely failed to achieve that campaign promise.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could have done it by executive order, but he wanted to get through the Senate. The parliamentarian would not allow the soul to be restored. But yeah, terrible slogan, and he announces early. But Biden doesn't get in until April of 2019, and Booker thinks, well, all the black voters are going to come to me because I'm black. But they go to Biden, frankly.
Was there another black candidate?
Kamala Harris, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
obviously.
neither of them do very well
Yeah.
among black voters. So there's just this kind of like crude consultant mindset. It was like
Yeah.
black people like black person, when it's a lot more complicated than that. Leaving aside like quote unquote black voters as a term is very simplistic.
And then
But,
Biden swept.
yeah, for people who vote in Democratic primaries for president and are black, primarily in the South, Biden won them overwhelmingly. And that's who you need to get the nomination.
Yeah, towards the end of it, it's like 48% for Biden and 4% for Booker. Overall, like whatever you think of Kamala Harris's 2020 campaign, and it was bad, Booker's is a worse version of that. Like
Yeah.
she sort of breaks through a little bit, and he does not even do that.
Yeah.
But he tries to get some viral moments out of those debates. In the first one, he gets memed online because of his react to Beto, who just starts speaking Spanish out of nowhere. And it becomes a meme, and it's like because his reaction is just like, "What the fuck?" But then
I didn't know you could do that, you know?
Yeah, and then
I didn't know it was allowed.
He starts speaking Spanish.
Yeah, terribly, too.
Right.
Like, really bad Spanish.
Yeah, but it's Beto and Castro in this debate, and they are fluent Spanish speakers.
Yeah.
And Cory Booker is not.
And I think that's just like that. I remember watching that, how it was just like, it was like Beto speaking Spanish, and you're like, oh, okay. And then Cory Booker's like, watch this. And you're like, okay, now that gives a bad look to yourself, but then to just the other candidates.
Yeah.
How it's just like, oh, we're all very performative, by the way. We're all going to do little tricks, and it's not going to mean anything. And then in the end, Joe Biden's going to win. And that's exactly like he was just there watching, like, probably not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Being like, I don't know, what country are we in right now, you know? And then he ended up getting the nomination.
Yeah. But the thing is, Cory Booker's face when Beto starts speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
You could have just stopped there, and you use that reaction. You quote tweet stuff Trump says with that reaction. You quote tweet stuff Biden says with that reaction. He becomes the no bullshit, no malarkey. He takes the no malarkey lane from Biden.
Yeah.
And is that guy. But
No hair
instead-
or malarkey. Yeah.
Yeah. But instead, he needs to participate in the gimmick.
It was like at that moment, you see, he was like, I need to top this.
Yeah.
Him topping is also speaking Spanish, but worse. Like, it's like, how can you copy that guy's thing?
Yeah.
Speak another language. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it sucks. But he does not raise his hand in that debate for going back into the nuclear deal
With Iran.
Yeah, which he says, there's a complicated reason behind that, but I don't think it's a coincidence. He's getting money from. In the second debate, there's a moment where he could go viral, and which is what he's trying to do at all of these. There's protesters who are protesting the employment of Daniel Pantaleos, the guy who killed Eric Garner, and Booker just kind of stands there and doesn't react to it. But that could have been a moment of virality, but you have to actually take a strong stand. Which, to be fair to Cory Booker, maybe the thing he is best on is criminal justice reform, despite his record as mayor. But he just is like a robot.
Yeah. But Bill de Blasio was in this debate, and
Right.
he maybe is like, I can't show up another mayor. And it's during Cory's opening statement. He's trying to say flowery things. And then they're like, oh, no, this real thing. This guy who killed Eric Garner is still working at the NYPD. This is like 5 years later at this point, and he just like will not address it. And it's like, yeah, Cory, you got to go for stuff to be president. Everyone's going to just forget you otherwise.
Yeah. But there are some moments in these debates between him and Biden that some have been kind of memory hold. There is the moment where he says, the vice president said we shouldn't legalize marijuana. I have to wonder if he is high when he said that, and he gets a laugh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But there's another moment where Biden kind of holds his own in his Biden of late way, which is, kind of pathetic, but still stands up to him and does embarrass Cory Booker a little bit. Biden's team has clearly prepped him on Booker's record as mayor, which is clearly like other mayors throughout the country, which is not very good. Not a lot of mayors are actually standing up to the cops. But on this, Biden brings up the stop and frisk, brings up Rudy Giuliani's guy coming in to run the Newark Police Department. Booker tries to reply and says, well, Mr. Vice President, every crime bill has had your name on it. Those are your words, not mine. And we have to have criminal justice reform. And there is a funny moment where Biden's like, the fact is that the bills that the future president here. So Biden gaffes and calls Cory Booker not only president, but future president of the country, and then defends his record on he's like, well, when I was trying to get the crack powder cocaine disparity solved, you were mayor having stop and frisk and stuff. And then eventually Booker defends himself and says the ACLU liked what I did as mayor despite trying to ban Conan. But that there's a quote, a line he uses where he says, Mr. Vice President, there's a saying in my community, you're dipping into the Kool-Aid and you don't even know the flavor.
I remember that.
Oh, snap.
Is that a saying in the New Jersey community, the New Jersey area? Do people actually say that?
Did he mean New Jersey community?
I think he meant probably his neighborhood in Newark, which at this point.
Yeah.
It's a T-bone original, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you dip into the Kool-Aid with the wrong flavor, that's a T-boner right there.
This goes back to him being like, I think like if you're running for president, like obviously, and like we know like politicians are very fake. Kind of have to get it right
Yeah.
in a way that will appeal to people.
Right.
Like when I know we go back to Obama a lot and how he's like, he's not Obama. We know like what Obama did and what Obama said. A lot of it was fake and it was based on like, let me trick people, but it worked. And, it got people excited. But when you go up there and you start saying things like that and you start speaking Spanish and you like, it doesn't connect with people.
A lot of his other moments, and this is supposed to be, his thing. He's supposed to be. This is what the press say, that he's this gifted politician and communicator. But he bombs these debates. He's not good at. He tries to manufacture moments, and also I have a theory about a moment between him and Elizabeth Warren, where she's talking about her wealth tax. And Cory Booker says, well, this is a clumsy tax. We can't do a wealth tax because we need to generate more wealth in cities, like the opportunity kind of canard. And that point in the campaign, this is like November 2019, he is on his last legs. So it seems to me like the reason he's saying that is because Wall Street is watching. It's like, please give my campaign money. Yeah. I won't tax your wealth. Which they don't do because he's a loser and he's not going to win.
What's his signature policy that he's running on in 2020? Exactly. Yeah, he doesn't have one. Anytime they talk about policy, he like pivots. He pivots away from healthcare. Even Afghanistan, he doesn't talk about it. He has no signature policy. And
a lot of nothingness.
Yeah, and then Biden is already like the electable guy. Other people have like different kinds of charisma. He's got nothing. He's not selling anything. And then there's people selling amazing things. There's Bernie Warren selling great policies. Biden selling electability. Yang is selling $1,000 a month. There's a lot of other people doing stuff, and he's just like there doing business as usual.
Yeah.
Do you think I have a question for you guys?
Okay.
Do you think what he did, his little 25-hour stunt, and I know the next election is a while away, do you think that is kind of like an audition?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you think it will help him?
That's what we're here to prevent. Yeah, we're worried. Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's definitely going to run in 2028, and I think it will go about as well as it did in 2020.
Well, the thing about what he did is now he can, whatever speech or anything he gives, whatever he does now is obviously going to be less than 25 hours. So it's just not going to be impressive.
Unless he keeps going,
it's
maybe
like
he'll do
it's
it
like
20,
a little gimmick he does now.
Yeah, maybe the next one's going to be 26 hours.
Come see Cory
27
Booker
hours.
beat his record.
Yeah.
And he just travels.
Yeah, he just keeps talking, and maybe it's like, well, it counts as a speech because
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep talking even when I'm like going different places.
I don't like when, I know we keep talking about this filibuster, but when he talked about how he prepped for it, did you hear that?
Yes.
Where what bothered me about that is like he got excited and he was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't eat or drink for like a week, and then I like did this and then I like he really prepped his body." Like, what do you do as a senator if you're able to take that much time not working?
Yeah, shouldn't he be doing bills? and
Work?
stuff?
Yeah, like if imagine you do that at any other job, you're like, by the way, I'm not going to drink any. I need time off to prep to talk for 25 hours about nothing. Like you're just doing nothing and nothing and nothing.
Yeah.
And then, oh wait, I'm going to vote for this bill for Israel.
Yeah, and he also dehydrated himself. Yeah, like you said, he didn't drink water, which is not good for you.
It's bad for kids to see this. This is
Yeah.
most people would try it. They would pass out.
He
They'd
got
end up in
so
the hospital.
excited
Yeah.
talking about it. He's like, I dehydrated myself and I didn't eat anything. And like, oh my God, it was so fun.
Yeah.
I would just be complaining the whole 25 hours.
But yeah, his 2020 campaign went out with a whimper. He's whining about not being included on the debates and really overestimates, I think, himself, his ability to win, and thinks, it's going to be Obama redux. But, we like to talk about if somehow he did win, what would the world be like? What would his presidency be like? His best shot would have been for Obama to never have existed. And then he would have run maybe in 2016. Maybe he would have won if that had been the case. But if you can't do Obama twice. And you can't, I don't even know if he would have won then because Obama is so much cooler than Cory Booker.
If we somehow get a cooler Obama, somehow.
Yeah. But if he had won 2020, becomes president, I think it's probably maybe even to the right of Biden on some things. I mean, he was saying during the campaign that he was pro single payer healthcare, which was but he would always add the caveat like, well, it's not going to happen, but I'm for it, which is like, why are you bringing it up then? But would he have, I think he would have not done this stuff with the Federal Trade Commission, probably. It would have been like a lot of like opportunity zones, the charter movement, which has kind of failed at this point. They would have tried to push him and make him do stuff. Maybe he wouldn't have been able to go after public schools, but I think he would have been pretty bad, and maybe he would have had the same inflation and he would have not been reelected.
Yeah, the big thing is his whole thing with any job he has is doing stunts to get a better job. But then when you're president, there's nothing left to do.
Yeah.
I mean, a president who does stunts would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, if I can race a bike over this gorge, then we
Yeah.
get single payer health care. Oh,
Watch
and then
this.
Secret Service like stops it at the last second, of course. But yeah, that would have been that's the only thing is if he could have done stunts to get the bully pulpit, but otherwise he would have been bad. And he would. I mean, it's kind of just what everything that Harris campaigns on, the people weren't excited about is kind of what Booker would have done, maybe plus little charter schools and even more pro-Israel than Harris.
I think he can maybe try to rekindle his relationship with Rabbi Shmuley. And then that might, if they work things out, it can fix everything.
Yeah, Shmuley could help him run for president of Greater Israel.
They can
in
be
a
like,
few
hey,
years,
we got to fix, because honestly, when you like, their relationship is still crazy to me. Also, he's like, just watching videos of him, he's unbearable to watch. So like hanging out with him,
Hearing them together. being
yeah,
stuck
I
in a-
can't imagine. That's an insane thing. So it's also a match made in heaven. If they rekindle it, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's great. It was like Cory Booker at some point was the head of a Chabad house or something. Like, it's real. It gets crazy.
Sharif, thank you so much
Hey,
for
thanks for having me, guys.
exploring your former senator.
Yeah.
Where can people find you and your stuff?
Instagram, Sharif Hasan _. Also on TikTok, my name's Sharif Labif. Come support paid protests.
Next one is May 2nd.
May 2nd, every first Friday of the month.
All right, Cory Booker, you have for now been vanquished.